Today we're going to be working on part 1 of our self-illustration. The main thing to get out of this part is that we're going to be drawing just the large shapes. So specifically, I'm going to take my selfie here, and specifically what we're going to draw today are the head shape, the hair shape, and at least in my picture I'm going to draw the jacket shape here. Notice that that's going to take care of the major parts of my illustration. So here in just a second I'm going to show you how to get started on this. Now to get started on this, we're going to have to do a couple of things first. Number one, I'm going to need to create an artboard, and once again that really doesn't matter what the size of this is, but I'm going to start off with the 8.5 by 11, and then I'm going to place my selfie picture in here as a template layer. It's really important that you manage your layers effectively during this project, because you're going to have a ton of different layers that you're going to want to lock down and a ton of different layers that you're going to want to protect from the other layers that you're going to be drawing. And so in this case I've set this up as a template layer. You can see that it's visible and that it is locked down right now. That's going to allow me to be able to draw on top of it without affecting the actual picture. Now, because everybody's illustration is going to be slightly different, I'm not going to go into intricate detail of how to do your illustration, but I will show you kind of how to get started. The main tool that we're going to use today is your pen tool. So I'm going to go over and grab that tool. You'll notice if I don't have any additional layers that are unlocked, it's going to give me that little sign that has the circle with the slash through it. So in this case I'm going to go ahead and create a new layer, and I'm going to make sure that I name this. You'll notice I have my layers here, but I'm going to go ahead and name some new layers here. So I'm going to name this one Head. And because I already have one called Head, I'm going to call mine Head 1. But you guys can go ahead and leave yours just as Head. You'll notice that once that's in there, I'll have a place that I can draw. It's important when you're doing this illustration you think of big to small, so meaning draw the big shapes first and then the tiny details at the end. And then lastly, that you think back to front. And so in this case, I'm going to start with my head. You could almost make the case that you could do the jacket as well, but in this case it really doesn't matter which layer I get started on. So to do this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to imagine that my head exists someplace beyond my hairline here. And then the rest of it I'm just going to kind of use the picture to help me trace this kind of head shaped. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'm not going to show you the whole process. I'll just kind of show you what it looks like when it's done, but I will at least get you started on the process here. Now as you're drawing, if you don't want any fill or stroke, remember you can just come over and click one of these buttons, and that'll help you to make it so you're not distracted as you're drawing this. And now once I get into this part, I'm going to have to be a little bit more careful about what I'm tracing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click in, and now I'm going to try and follow the contour of my face just a little bit more. And there's the general approximation of my face here. I would generally take a little bit longer to do that. You can say I didn't do a very good job right here. I didn't do the best job right over here. And so what I'd want to do is I'd want to go back and do some fine touch-up on this, whether it be adding in additional points, using my direct select tool to kind of make things curve a little bit better. And so you guys can see all I've done here is basically drawn my path, and when I'm done with this I need to fill it with a a color. And so this color, I really want something that's a little bit more flesh colored or skin colored. And so I'm going to use my swatches, and I'm going to use this this library thing. And you guys will notice if you look in here, there's a thing actually that's called skin tones. And this will help you to get a color that's probably closer to what you actually need. It's not going to look perfect. Try and choose one that makes sense for you. So let's try a couple of these. And I think that looks pretty good. And so I'm just going to kind of leave that as is here. And as you can see, as soon as I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and lock that down so I can't mess it up anymore. Now, because I've already drawn this and I've taken more time on the other one, I'm going to go ahead and switch layers here. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this one off, turn this one back on, and lock it down. And as you can see, I've now got my head kind of drawn here. Once again, a little bit of TLC over here would be better. And it doesn't really matter if it's not perfect because the picture's just being used for reference. Now, once I've gotten my head drawn, what I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat this process with my my jacket, or maybe in your case this is a t-shirt or another large shape in your selfie. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put that in. To save a little bit of time for you guys watching me to do this, I'm just going to go ahead and make mine visible. So it looks something like that. Notice once again we're focusing on the large shape here. Even if it has a few places that need a little bit of help, we can touch those up in the future parts of this. Just so everybody knows, I went ahead and drew this with the pen tool, and so we're going to go ahead and not show you that part. I went ahead and colored that with kind of that same reddish color. And then lastly, and once again, remember I went ahead and named that jacket so it would be easy to tell which is which. Lastly, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put a layer in on top of my my head layer here. Let's go ahead and lock down the jacket layer. We're going to call this one hair. Once again, I'm just getting the large kind of outline shape of my hair. I'm going to go and make this visible. What I've done is I've used the pen tool and I've traced the outline of my hair, including my hairline here in the front. This may take a little bit of time, but essentially you want to cover up or overlap where you've drawn your head there. So if you notice, if I turn that on and off, I want to kind of approximate my hairline, but you notice I have a little bit of trouble seeing that. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn the visibility of the head off as I'm drawing this hair. And then when I bring this back in, because of the stacking order over here, that hairline is going to hide the edge of my head layer. The idea for today is to get to this first checkpoint, and that checkpoint is going to look like this, where you want to have your large shapes filled in. You may go just a little bit further in this. In this case, you could make the case that I need to fill in the white shirt and whatnot down here, and maybe the skin of my neck, but something that looks like this, where you've got the large shapes of your illustration completed. Go ahead and turn those into Google Classroom when you're finished.